First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT. You found us, whatever podcast app you are using right now. Maybe you're listening to us weeks after recording this. Maybe you're listening to this in 2026, but it is not that. It is 2025. It is Thursday, January 2nd, and it is 2:00 Eastern Time. And we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, Postmarks. How are we doing? Happy New Year.
That's right, everybody. Happy New Year. And we'll be chatting all about a preview, some predictions for New Year's Evil, which is happening next Tuesday. And you can bet your bottom dollar we will be back live here Tuesday night, right after New Year's Evil, right here on Post Wrestling to talk all about it. So yes, the holidays have come and gone. Therefore, your NXT friends will be back at their regular scheduled programming on Tuesday nights, because it was pretty funny having 2 Tuesdays of Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve. And before anyone could even ask, hey, are you gonna? No, we were not going to do a show on either of those Tuesdays. So here we are in a bit of a condensed version where we'll be talking about 2 different weeks of NXT.
It felt very strange because obviously I was at home for a few weeks. We had guests filling in for both of us. And then just NXT happens to fall on the 2 big holidays this year. So it's felt weird. Our Poison Rana show's been all up in the air. This show's been up in the air. But yes, we will be getting to some more normality now we're in 2025.
Yes, it's the Netflix era, at least for us Canadians. I know everyone's getting Raw on Netflix, and everybody, Netflix and Raw will be the new catchphrase going forward, I'm sure. But we're Canadians, so we get all the wrestling all on our Netflix, and it's a pretty big deal. So we'll definitely be chatting about that. But every Tuesday, they already have. I went to see if they uploaded the last few episodes of NXT, and they have all of this year already on Netflix for us. So I actually was able to watch this today using Netflix. So pretty cool already. They've added a bunch of stuff. And I know some of you are worrying, hey, Braden and Dave, are you going to be able to do What's Next? Are you going to be able to do all these old retro wrestling reviews that you do on our Patreon? The answer is yes, because of technology.
Yeah, so it's all been a little weird. We haven't known what is exactly going to go onto Netflix and what isn't. It does look like all of 2022 to 2024 NXT is on there. As for Raw, it's very odd because you've basically got all of Raw going up to 2001, and then you get about 5 episodes a year. And then it's the last couple of years, it's the whole library. So things like how John Cena show, we're going to have to be a little creative with it. I know we've got enough stuff in the tank for a few episodes, but there might be a few issues here and there when we're trying to navigate, trying to find some of these episodes. But as for NXT, we are good. We have found a way, and we do have every episode of NXT up until about TakeOver Dallas. So that's a good about 3 years worth of content for us that we can work on. And then once we hit TakeOver Dallas, we can cross that bridge when we come to it. But fear not, What's Next is not going anywhere. And if you ever need help trying to watch some of these episodes, just ask us and we can point you in the right direction.
Someone might be asking, what is Was Next? Well, yes, we are your NXT friends, but trust me, we go way back as your NXT friends, because a show that we do usually once, maybe twice a month on our Patreon is Was Next, where we've been going through NXT through the beginning, and we made it all the way to 2014 is where we are, where we're going leading up to not the first special, but the first takeover, if I'm not mistaken. So things are definitely heating up in the old school NXT that we've been watching. So yes, fear not, the show will not be going anywhere. We will continue to do it, as well as the retro pay-per-views. I mean, I logged in on Netflix yesterday to finish my Squid Game, and I got a picture of Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton saying like, hey, now you can watch this on Netflix. I was like, that's a bizarre thing to promote. Like, it's not just like, hey, check out all WWE pay-per-views. Hey, here's WrestleMania. Here's a Royal Rumble. Instead, it was like, hey, check out this Battleground. What was it? The cell match? No, the Punjabi
prison. Yeah.
I was like, what a weird one to promote. Definitely won't be watching that one back. But yeah, I find it interesting that like worlds are kind of colliding now when I'm just trying to log into Netflix to watch other shit and movies and whatever. And then it's like right in your face, like WWE and NXT. So I think that's pretty awesome and some good promotional stuff off the bat. So yes, have no fear. I think a lot of these retro pay-per-views, like if they got Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal from Battleground or whatever, I feel like they're going to have some other ones. And I feel like they'll probably slowly release a lot more of the other stuff. Like who knows, maybe your WCW or I know people are upset about Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but like I have a feeling it'll all maybe migrate either there or the WWE Vault is probably where you're going to be watching stuff. So yeah, it's a cool time. I'm wondering how it is for Americans because it does sound a little confusing. It's like you got to watch Raw on Netflix, you watch SmackDown on TV, and then the pay-per-views are on Peacock. Is that still how it goes?
Yeah. For now, I believe.
Right. Oh, do you think for now? Do you think that'll eventually?
Well, it's they've got their contract with Peacock, so it's however long that goes on, and when then renegotiating there. But I know things have been taken off of Peacock, so it seems like the Americans kind of have it the worst at the moment because they don't necessarily have that back catalog, unless some of that has appeared on the US Netflix. I'm not entirely sure.
Right. Either way, I do think we, whether it's Canadians, Brits, or some. Got it the best. But do we pour one out for the WWE network, or is it still alive somehow, some way, somewhere?
In the Philippines, it's on excursion right now to the Philippines.
So it's not actually dead because I saw a lot of people like, oh, it's gone. The WWE network, pour one out. But you've described to me that it is still alive in the Philippines. So if you ever want to take a trip to the Philippines, you can just probably access it there, or VPNs, or I don't know, fake addresses or anything like that. But wow, it's the end of an era for them to finally shut this down for a lot of people, especially the way it ended during like a live stream of a show. Like it just cuts and everyone watching was like, oh, I guess that's it.
Yeah. Sorry. My thing keeps unplugging. So just trying to sort that out. But I guess, people as Jake from the Windy City says, NordVPN can still be your friend right now.
Absolutely. And there's never enough wrestling to watch, right? Isn't that the case? Going into this year, there's going to be a lot of wrestling. This is some of the best times to be a wrestling fan, whether it's the Royal Rumble leading into WrestleMania. It's going to be go with tons of different content and streaming, TV, pay-per-views, lots and lots of stuff. And of course, you can always find us at Poison Rana Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and search Poison Rana in your podcast app. Give us a follow. Check out all the other shows. We tend to go live Sundays as well to chat about everything else. So this Sunday, we will be back for a special Poison Rana where we'll do a little condensed version chatting about what we cherry pick from Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty this weekend. But then we will be doing a stream for free, part 1 of our best match ever 2024. This is usually a 2-parter episodes that we give to our patrons, but we decided this year our first episode, our first half of this will be entirely free, and we will be streaming on Sunday, I think starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So mark that in your calendars. If you're around Sunday afternoon, have some afternoon delight with us as we chat about some more wrestling. If maybe you're someone who is waking up early to watch Ricochet win the butterfly title. I think he's in a title match. I'm pretty sure he's in a title match. I'm not sure.
He's facing Zach, isn't he?
Yeah.
The Sunday show.
Yeah, so future world champ, maybe, possibly. But yes, that's what we're doing on Sunday. And we're going through a list. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, you should, because Davie uploaded this list of 25 matches to choose for, 25 of the highest rated matches of 2024. And then we whittle it down. We take your votes, we vote, and then we have a top 10 list that we go through and kind of review and give thoughts on all the great wrestling that happened in 2024. I'm excited.
Yeah, go ahead. And so I've picked the matches. You've got to pick your top 10 from that list and send it over to me. I'm disappointed in some of you. Some of you who normally get their votes in early haven't yet. I'm looking at you, Jake. I see you in the chat. Yeah, get your votes in, because we'll be tallying these up and we'll be starting this countdown on Sunday after our Poison Rana show.
Yes,
so
find out.
It's available on the, I posted it on Facebook, on the Patreon, and Twitter, and Blue Sky. So you can get me your votes in anyway using those.
Some of the matches feature Will Ospreay. Some of the matches feature from last year's Wrestle Kingdom. Some matches feature from WWE NXT. But what will the top 10 of our listeners and our show be? I'm really excited. This is the easiest show to go back and do, because it's like, hey, just watch the best shit from the year. And it's been pretty. I've watched some already for our best and worst of show with John Away that we did this week. So it's kind of the easiest homework to do as a wrestling fan, because sometimes watching wrestling is not always the best of. So this is a good way to get it out of our system. And remember that there was a pretty good year of wrestling in 2024. And like looking at the list of these matches, I kind of know where I'm going with some of my picks, but it can be hard. So I'm ready for this. So yeah, join us on Sunday. The podcast will be up after that, of course. But yeah, that's what we'll be doing. We did release our best and worst of show with John Away. That is on the Post Wrestling Patreon and our Poison Rana Patreon. It's $5 a month to get that show and all the other shows that we did. We had some Christmas reviews over the past few weeks into the holidays. Of course, we got the wrestling. We will be doing Best Match Ever Part 2 in about a week. So that will be in your Patreon feeds. And then I'm not sure what else is going, but obviously we got like the Rumble coming up. We might look at a retro one of those and tons more. So the podcasts and the entertainment at your fingertips never, ever stop. And if you want to support us, you can. It's only $5. Patreon.com/PoisonRana. And we appreciate our friends and family out there who keep the frogs going in this cold weather, this cold winter times.
Absolutely. Well, shall we get into some wrestling talk?
Yes. Where do we even begin? We're all over the place. Obviously, we're going to chat about some NXT from the last 2 weeks. Do we want to start there? Do we want to start with other stuff?
Maybe let's start with NXT, and then we can go into the other stuff at the end of the show.
Okay. Well, we're going to go back, rewind the clocks a little bit, because I mentioned NXT was on Christmas Eve. They had taped the second episode from Lowell, Massachusetts. And then they did a taping on the following Thursday that led up for the New Year's Eve taping. So we're going to kind of go through a bit more of a condensed version, because we can't miss all the stuff that happened on NXT. So let's briefly go through here. I'm going to read some results and everything. I just finished watching both episodes today to catch up. Spoiler, I was spoiler free, but I don't suspect many people were watching on both these Tuesdays, simply because of the timing of when they were on. So I'm sure their ratings and all that maybe weren't necessarily the highest, but at the same time, it's fucking Christmas, man. It's Christmas. So let's talk about the episode from a few weeks ago. I'm referring to Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2024. We start off the show with Santa. Santa Claus is here, who suspiciously looked a lot like Ridge Holland, just wearing a Santa Claus outfit, but more on that later.
I didn't realize that until way later.
Really?
Yeah.
Right away.
They didn't go that close up to him. I was
right away.
Yeah.
I was like, that's Ridge. Like, look at this. You didn't necessarily like cover it up too much, but it's wrestling. So love wrestlers dressed as Santa Claus. We start things off with our opening match, which was Cora Jade taking on Stephanie Vaquer. Vaquer getting in some offense here. These two have been beefing, the side that Cora's been with Roxanne, and Stephanie coming in here looking for the title. This match had some messy moments, but then ended up with the face smash, the best move in NXT history onto Cora. And then that backbreaker, which looked like a bit of a struggle for her to hit on Cora here. I do not like this move. I love Stephanie Vaquer, but that move just doesn't look like it would be the finishing move of a match. However, it was.
It feels very like the Monet Maker, where like all the work leading up to it can be very good, and then the move just doesn't quite hit, and you're left with a bit like, I wish he'd find something different, because Stephanie's great.
Like, considering the face smash probably does more damage than this backbreaker. It just reminds me of like the Jericho Punk Welcome to Chicago backbreaker. It's just like the same type thing. Either way, Stephanie wins the match, and then afterwards, Kelani Jordan comes out because she's got some beef with Cora, and she goes to attack her, but then there's like a mishap, and Kelani's attacking Cora, and Stephanie's mad at her for attacking, and Cora slips out, leaving Stephanie and Kelani like a bit more upset. Which will lead into some other things. So, I didn't necessarily care too much for this match.
No, me neither. They're really trying to, though, in NXT, especially with the women's division, just to show you how many contenders there are for this world title. You're seeing a similar kind of thing in AEW right now with the men's title, where everyone's gunning for it. And so I've been liking that about it. I like how we're having a lot of contenders at the moment, and starting to see maybe a bit of a shift in Kalani's character as well over the course of these 2 episodes.
Yeah, we've been saying for a while, like the little bit of the edge has been added to her, and where eventually you could see her going heel, but like in the more modern sense of like, I'm turning mean and heel because I have reasons to, and everyone's kind of wronged me. I feel like she's been slowly slipping in little things that will eventually lead to what I think would be a pretty sweet heel turn. I think they maybe like bringing some more character out of Kelani is what can elevate her to that next level. We go to the family backstage. Tony D and the fam, Stax and Crucifino are in the Christmas Chaos tag #1 contender match later, and Stax mentions Christmas time and his family and interior decorating and Christmas gifts, and mentions a house getting robbed on Christmas as well. Maybe he was watching Home Alone. I'm not sure, but
he's talking about someone. His mum beat up Santa Claus because he was trying to take the presents away, but then realized that Santa Claus was his neighbor who didn't have any presents, and so we're gonna beat you like my mama beat that kid. Is essentially what they were saying. It was a pretty funny promo.
Stax I like when Stax gets all crazy and off the wall a little bit. I don't know if you follow Stax on social media, but his Instagram, I shout out Stax, recently engaged to what is it, Adriana Grace? No.
Yes.
Ariana Grace. I get it mixed up with Ariana Grande, but they post some wild, funny shit on their Instagram, especially the Christmas one where he's naked running around the house evading the cops. Would definitely recommend. We go to our next match, the Heritage Cup match. The Cup champion, Charlie Dempsey, once again putting this on the line against Lexis King, who's had a hell of a 2024. I'd say in the last few months leading up, he's been very impressive in like actual wrestling, which is not something anyone would ever say years leading up to this beforehand. But he's not alone, because Lexis once again has William Regal ringside in his corner, his cornerman, if you will, for this. And there was some good wrestling, like I said, like Lexis doing a lot more. Like he looks like he's actually been, shooting in the gym, actually practicing, actually working on his wrestling. And I think it's been paying off. But it's a bit of deja vu, because if you remember the last time Regal was there, he had the brass knucks against his own son. He's the one true villain. And King didn't want to use them and therefore lost. Well, this time Regal yet again sliding him those knucks, the power of the punch. And King doesn't want to do it, so he drops them to the mat. Regal then slaps him or punches him in the face. The ref doesn't see that, but the ref does see Dempsey pick up the knucks and then calls for the DQ in the last 7 seconds of the round. Therefore, Charlie Dempsey loses via DQ the Heritage Cup to Lexis King. And then Lexis is like, wow, I did it. I can't believe I did it. I did it the right way, and I did it. And everyone, including commentary, are like, I don't know if you did that the right way. And William Regal's face is like, that wasn't what I wanted you to do, but you still won. So some
So
William
putting
Regal.
over the rules in the round matches, a DQ ends it.
Right.
So it doesn't count as a fall, it just ends the match immediately, and therefore that's why the title could change on a DQ here.
I think it was a pretty funny, creative way to continue this feud, but as we'll get to on next week's episode, like, is that fair? Is that, and also, how many times do the general managers or the WWE staff ever rewatch something and go, oh, wait a second, actually, this guy interfered. We're reversing the decision. Like, how many times in wrestling, if they were to do that, like, oh, we actually had to look back at the tape where titles would never actually change.
Yeah, so would it make sense to just talk about that segment now?
We can discuss it, because the next week, Ava right away is like, hey, this didn't count, therefore you're not the Heritage Cup champion, therefore Dempsey retains it, and you will have a one-on-one sudden death match, meaning on New Year's Evil, Charlie versus Lexis, one-on-one for the Heritage Cup.
So no rounds, no clock, just one fall to the finish. I kind of feel Lexis should have still been the champ, though. Like, they are the rules. They are the rules. He got struck. Charlie got DQ'd. But you can get to the match anyway. It just being it's for Charlie's Heritage Cup. But yes, we'll be getting the match next week. I thought it was quite a funny segment to kind of play about with those cup rules.
I also like, where's this going with Regal? Because basically, to me as just a viewer, you assume you would know that Regal is his dad. They don't ever really like hit you over the head with it lately, but like we know, it's kind of like Regal's on this like vendetta against his own son to teach him the rules of wrestling.
It's kind of still BCC law, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's like they're lessons he teaches, and sometimes he's fucking you over in the process of doing it. Do you see an actual turn from Lexis next week? Because in this segment with Ava, he's like, but I did everything right. I'm doing things the right way. And now you're taking this away from me. I think there's got to be a tipping point where he kind of goes back to his old self as he realizes being good just doesn't pay.
Yeah, I either see that. Selfishly, I would like to see Regal like be attached to one of them. Like Regal actually starts to be his manager, or actually starts to like train or help the No Quarter Catch crew. Like, I think having Regal as a character on TV again is something I would like to see more and more of these, like you said, they're using his ways in AEW when he was kind of like doing some cheeky shit, William Regal type shit, but I'm for it. And I think him and his son in the future would be pretty interesting. So I'm kind of interested to see where this is going. We see a video for OTM. They're talking about how they will win the Christmas Chaos match later tonight, and then they will go into 2025 and win the tag titles because they've been here long enough, and they're stating their claim for later tonight. We get Ethan Page, a recap here of the week prior where he stomped on the throat, on the face of Javon Evans, making him spit out teeth over the holidays, and basically like reiterating that like this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I liked his new demeanor. Just normally he gets a little like shouty, Ethan Page, where he's doing a much more sadistic, cold, slow delivery, and I think it's working. I think a lot of the criticism I had in his first run in NXT was way too much comedy for someone who should be considered as a top guy, and hopefully this edge is going to bring something out of him.
This cope brings something out of him. We get Kelani Jordan, who's backstage, and she's even more angry. She's like, hey, Stephanie, and Stephanie is there with Lola, and they're arguing and bickering, and she's like, I told you to stay out of my face. I didn't mean to get in your face, and then everyone's arguing, everyone's screaming, and Kelani says, get out of my face. So some mixed messages being sent.
She doesn't like being big sistered, basically. She's already been a champion. She's fed up of people looking out for her, trying to help her, and has kind of thrown it back in the faces of Stephanie and Lola Vice here.
We go to our next match. It is the Unholy Union, the Witches, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn taking on Fatal Influence. We have Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum make their entrance here, and they're kind of like watching the match as this is happening, as well as Kayden and Katana, as Vic Joseph does his best. Yeah, it's something to do with this transfer window thing, meaning like, I don't know why they're here either, but
right.
We're going to go with that. You know what? Highlight of this, I'd say, was Jasmine Nix, who is the like newcomer of the Fatal Influence and kind of this division, but she's usually the fall girl where like she's taking the pin or she's getting beat up and stuff. But I thought they let her hit in like a lot of cool looking moves. The same could be said with Alba Fire, hits this nuts looking DDT spin out combo, which was pretty cool. But in the end, it's the witches who isolate Nix, I believe, with or Vic says they casted a spell, the Gory Bomb, like Sister Abigail combo, which I love as a finishing move. Like this move looks like it would hurt somebody, but the witches win and then make claim for the tag titles, which we don't have any here in NXT. So this is all storyline or lore for the women's tag titles, who I don't really, I'm not sure who the champions are.
It's Bianca and Naomi at the moment.
Right. Okay. Got you. So
yeah. All a little weird. Like we've got both Unholy Union and Kayden and Katana back in NXT. How long, I don't know. I would say, especially Kayden and Katana, big fan of their ring work. I think there's still a level of connection that neither of these teams have with the main roster. But if you bring them back down to NXT just to play the same characters, I don't really see what the point is. The tag titles are on the main roster. That's where they're defended. That's where you need tag teams, and there really aren't any. So maybe this is a little short thing and have all of these teams being moving up, or maybe we're going to see the NXT championship, like tag championship, the women's tag championship defended in NXT a bit more. But as far as development, I don't really see how having these two teams down in NXT really helps at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like the whole reason these titles were made, this kind of goes back, I guess, to the Sasha Banks stuff, right? Like, hey, you made these titles and then you don't end up making them seem important or matter or anything. So I don't know really what this is aiming towards. Any of these teams going for the titles, it's not very interesting. It's just like a bunch of characters that aren't really being used on Raw or SmackDown. So we'll just bring them back down here and have you feud and, I don't know, help other people. It's cool to see some of these characters and get ring time and TV time, but at the same time, like where if we had the NXT tag women's titles, maybe that's a bit too much, but bringing them down and defending, I guess, is the pivot or option that we're going to get. We go backstage and we see the No Quarter Catch crew, Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne. They talk about how they're going to win the Christmas Chaos tag match. I do love the words Christmas Chaos in front of a match. Great match gimmick name. And they talk about how they're going to win it. And Tavion says like, oh, how is Christmas for you growing up? And Miles says, oh, it was pretty quiet. But for anyone who
he's deaf,
for anyone who's like, oh, they never really mentioned that he's deaf on TV. It's like
they do every week.
They do every week actually, in his jokes. So love these guys. So we then cut from a commercial break and we see Zarya and Sol Ruka backstage when Izzy Dame interrupts them and basically is like, oh, you two think you're a tag team, like friends is not what this industry is. Kind of what she said the week prior. And Sean Spears shows up again with his crew and she's like, oh, you're stalking me, you're following me, and walks off. And he's like, oh, and he walks off as well. So I don't know if it seems like he's trying to recruit Izzy Dame, but she wants nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with this storyline. So watching this was pretty like, oh, okay, cool. Anything on that? Yeah.
Not really. I mean, it's making a character of Izzy Dame, which I think she has sorely lacked. At least we now know something about her.
Do we? What did we learn?
Well, she doesn't want to be in this group, basically. No, do you know that there's like, I feel she's just been a body for so many times where she's just in the ring with no story. At least she's got something attached to her right now. I'm not a fan of Sean Spears' group, and I don't really see her being part of it as any big move, but at least we know who she is now, I guess.
Like we've talked about it, all the factions in NXT or WWE, you need at least one woman to have an actual faction. It's the rules. So they need one. So I guess she will be eventually. They're bad guys anyways. So like maybe they'll end up helping her win and stuff. We go to our next match. Woo, this is one of the biggest matches, grudge matches, if you've been following this story. Dion Lennox taking on Ashante the Adonis. Are you happy that I called him Ashante and not Tahuti, Miles here? But this is all because Ashante and Carmen, they got that fling, but then Dion was trying to offer her friendly advice, and then he hugged her, and then Ashante walked in, and then he said, I'm going to text Nikita again. It's just the great stuff, the good shit that we've been waiting for. So these two are fighting. Ashante is pretty much bullying him here. Dion does have a nice drop kick, though, I might add. He's got some hops. This is when Nikita Lyons comes out. Booker T starts to go crazy. I guess I'll just say it. Booker T was on one for both of these taped episodes. He shucky ducky quacks and says something about she shucky ducky quacks and blows that house down. However, it's Ashante with a roll up who gets the win. And then Nikita kind of like stands tall with him posing and stuff. So it's the, hey, we're together. But Ashanti's like, no, I don't. You could just see it in his eyes. It's like, I don't want you.
Yeah, Nikita put the foot on the rope. She was interfering, but
yeah.
So helped with the win, but he really wasn't about it.
Yeah.
Not much of a match here. They didn't get a whole lot of time. Dion is a great athlete, as you said, good drop kick. I'm yet to see anything more from him yet. And I wonder if maybe these guys as a tag team down the line would be a better. I see Dion Lennox more as a tag team wrestler. And I think that could actually get something more out of him if you ended up pairing these two together down the line.
Well, we gotta see what happens with the love triangle, the love rectangle, maybe. I'm not sure really, but yeah, this was there. We go backstage. Hank and Tank, they are also in the Christmas Chaos tag match. I just want to keep saying it. They say something. You know, I love these guys, but if you've listened to the past few weeks, Davie, you were away, and we had our friend Jack cover you on upNXT. And Jack is what are we? Or am I a Gen? I'm a millennial. So therefore, our friend Jack is a Gen Z. And I don't know how many Gen Zers you know, but you know Gen Zers love to say, it's giving. And that's what Hank and Tank said here a few times. It's giving peppermint. It's giving Christmas Eve. I was like, oh, man, this is giving me a headache. So Hank and Tank are going to honk their way into the new year as NXT champion. It's giving. We then go from that to Shotzi and Tatum backstage with Gigi. And they're like, yeah, we're this new group. I believe they're going by Chemical X as the name of this group of goth girls here. And then they see Kayden and Katana here. And then the Meta Girls come in and everyone's arguing and yelling. And it's another stereotypical Lash Legend segment where she comes in and just starts yelling and screaming and the segment fades to black. Like I feel like that's such a metaphor thing where he comes in skirt and then just yells and everyone's bickering. There's so much of that on this show. Like there was already one of these segments earlier, two of them earlier.
This felt, I mean, these were two tape shows and they definitely felt like tape shows, and nothing was very creative in setups. It was all just bickering backstage and NXT is always bad at that. But I thought it was even more noticeable here because it was like, all right, we want to get home for Christmas. Okay, we're setting up this match. You three argue. Okay, now you two argue. It felt very much like that throughout the whole show without any real story progression, just excuses to get a match on for both weeks.
Like, what's it called in WCW? AEW is guilty, WWE too. But like when you finish a show, the schmaz finish, when it's just like, all right, everybody run out and fight, and then we'll fade out, and that's the end of the show. That's NXT's like calling card. All right, how about you just bicker and argue, and then we'll fade to the next thing. It's like they do it so many times. We go to a video for Roxanne Perez. She says at 23 years old, she's already a two-time champion. She's already a wrestler of the year. She mentions that not a lot of other people can say what she can say. She brings up Simone Biles and Caitlin Clark and says maybe those are the only two athletes who are on my level, but no one else is, and says that, Julia, you will not be taking this title anytime soon, especially at New Year's Eve. So looking forward to that match, which hopefully is a good match next week. We go to Lexis King. He's very emotional. They're asking him about like, hey, I forget the interviewer here, but she's like, hey, can we talk about how you won this? It was kind of in a bad way. And he's like, oh no, I'm too emotional right now. I can't talk about it. And he walks off. So kind of could see like, yeah, he could just go back to being the Lexis King that we know. Cause here he is avoiding discussing what actually happened. We get the video package for Ethan Page and mentioning that he broke Javon Evans' jaw. I think that's the storyline we're going with here. He broke his jaw. They do show a shot of like was it dental work here? That, looked like
mandible.
Yeah, the mandible claw, the mandible jaw. Then he says that I got my smile back and I stole yours. You mentioned like this Ethan Page, more serious tone is a lot better than anything he was doing before this. I don't like the NX Me stuff. I thought it was all just kind of hokey. Whereas here he comes off as like a credible bad guy, someone who's actually scary.
Good last line as well in stealing your smile, get mine back or whatever it was. I thought that was good.
So I'm wondering like if the story is he broke his jaw, like does this mean he's not coming back for a while? It's like a broken jaw.
Cedric said he text will be their New Year's Evil.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, should he be wrestling with a broken jaw? Right down through the wire. Damn, crazy. We'll see, but it's wrestling. We go to our main event. You know what it is. Been waiting for it. The 4-way Christmas Chaos tag team match. Hank and Tank versus the No Quarter Catch crew versus Tyson and Tyriek versus the family. And Tyson and Tyriek are the ones who make their way. OTM in the match. My apologies. Hank and Tank come out with Raven's cart from WrestleMania 17 here with all sorts of weapons. However, it's Crucifino in the middle of the match goes under the ring. And I know he's a lawyer, so I'm not quite sure if there's a correlation to lawyers and bowling. But Crucifino gets a bowling ball here and then hits a strike right into Hank's tanks here. Very cool spot. We've seen this before in wrestling. Like, right? Tommy Dreamer, of course. So we then get like choke slams. There's a table set up ringside because it is a Christmas Chaos. And you're probably asking, what makes this a Christmas Chaos street fight tag team match? Well, it's because they have tables set up with milk and cookies for Santa, who is ringside watching this match.
They also had, which I thought was a great touch, it was snowing throughout the match.
Wow. What did they do? Just have a snow machine?
Had a snow machine. It was snowing throughout. Yeah, I thought these matches are always a little silly, but I kind of enjoyed some of the Christmas themed stuff they had here. They like tied up Lucian Price, but with like, wrapping paper at one point. And you've got the classic candy cane kendo sticks and even candy cane crowbars in this match.
Eventually it's the No Quarter Catch crew who just choke slam or body slam Stacks through this cookies and milk. He was covered in all these like red and green and milk all over him, and it looked like it hurt. Miles in the ring hits a pretty sweet looking RKO. I guess he's had enough of people just screaming RKO at him that he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna just start doing the move. But everybody does these days. There is this Bronco. I give Nima Bronco. Sorry, Bronco Nima. I'm messing up which way his name goes, but I feel like I give him a lot of slack for being maybe like the least impressive of the tag team. But he hit a Psycho Driver #2 here, which is like a flip out, like face buster slam. So he's been learning some things, which look pretty good. Hank and Tank, though, gain the offense. They go for their slam, but this is where Tyson and Tyriek come out and stop them from winning. This is where the family then pull out candy cane crowbars, and they look like they're going to win. But out of nowhere, in one of the biggest heel turns in history, Santa Claus attacks Tony D'Angelo with what looks like the Redeemer DDT. Yes, it's Ridge Holland, allowing Bronco and Lucian to hit their Alabama Slam double team combo, and they get the win. And therefore, the Christmas Chaos winners are OTM, and they are OTW to get tag title match in 2025. But you know what? This was a pretty silly match, like you said, like all the gimmicks and Christmassy stuff. But at the end of the day, I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I always find these sort of taped Christmas shows are like less important than usual, and as long as you get a bit of fun out of it. And I thought this 4-way was pretty silly, but some cool spots and some fun stuff. OTM going for Fraxium. I don't see them being the ones to take it, but I do like how kind of we've been mentioning each time Fraxium face someone, they're kind of more and more battered up. And I think having a big team like OTM, you can really tell that story even more as they're a lot bigger than Fraxium. But yeah, this match was fine. The tag division is starting to feel a little stagnant, though. It's a rotation of these teams. So I think trying to get some new people together in 2025 would be a good thing.
Yeah, like we're doing a lot of like cycling through the same teams. They are improving. I'd say OTM have improved, Hank and Tank have improved. Like all the teams are getting better and better. So I guess it's working, but at the same time, still not viable contenders. Like I don't think these guys would be the ones to finally beat Fraxium, right? So
no.
But probably my highlight of this episode was this match. So fun stuff for Christmas chaos. However, this was not the end, because right before the episode ends, Trick Williams comes out, the NXT champion. He's got to clear the air of what happened last week. But before he can, Obafemi comes out, and then Eddie Thorpe comes out, and Eddie says that his foot was under the rope. Therefore, the ref counted him the champion, but Ava ruled it a no contest. Therefore, he deserves a title match. Oba won the Iron Survivor, so he deserves his title match. So Trick says, I'll face you both in a triple threat match at New Year's Evil. And it has been made official. That is our main event of January 7th, NXT New Year's Evil. Trick Williams, Obafemi, Eddie Thorpe, NXT Championship. Am I alone here thinking that's a big step down from the big promotion of Trick versus Oba?
Yeah,
dream match.
I feel they're maybe wanting to put off Trick and Oba for a PLE. And I think at this point, I mean, we know who's eating the pin here, don't we? It feels like this is a stopgap match for the bigger one, which does make more sense to do on an actual PLE rather than a TV special.
Absolutely. I'm just like, oh man, we teased it. We already had the graphic, and then they totally pivoted to this. So like after New Year's Evil, what's the next one? Is it Vengeance Day?
Yeah, probably.
So we'll probably have to wait till that to see the one-on-one. I'm not necessarily looking forward to this. I think the main issue of NXT the last little while has been the world title picture. And I think we were like, all right, as soon as Oba comes in, he takes the title, maybe things will like feel a bit more different and bigger and better. And so far we're just like, now we're like prolonging this, which I'm not necessarily looking forward to this match, but it could be good. Just feels a bit shoehorned in with this Eddie Thorpe.
There just aren't the people there in the men's division right now on the like world title level. Like you've got a lot in the women's, you know, you can go we're with Julia right now, but you could go with Stephanie, you could go with Zarya, you could go with a Sol Ruka title chase. There's so many people, whereas you look up and down the men's singles roster, there's a lot of people in that North American category, but really for the world heavyweight, there isn't. So it does feel a bit like treading water until you do the big singles match. But unless someone gets really hot or they bring in someone, I feel like it's going to feel like this for a while, unfortunately. Yeah,
and think like if Oba were to win the title right away, like who does he have to go up against in the next little while? Like Ethan Page has been through a huge.
There's so many heels as well, right? Like you turn Wes Lee, that would be the good story is Wes chasing Oba for the title as a babyface. You know, the guy who took his North American title, but he's in a weird place right now. You can go to Javon down the line, but he's still super young. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this scene is a little weaker compared to some of the other stuff going on in NXT. So we'll get to that triple threat New Year's Evil. But that was the episode from Christmas Eve. I think we're on the same page. It was basically a filler episode. We had some fun with some candy cane crowbars, but tape show for sure. Hangover show, if you 100%. Will. Well, we go to this week's episode, the December 31st, New Year's Eve, not New Year's Evil edition of NXT. And we kick things off at Booker T absolutely losing his mind at Lola Vice's entrance here. He's doing the whole shucky ducky, Cholula Green. He's doing everything. I don't know if it was this episode or the episode prior where Vic Joseph made a reference like, hey, Book, you better calm down. You know, maybe your Hall of Fame wife, Charmel, at home wouldn't like to hear you say that. And then it's quiet for a few seconds. And then Books just slides in under his breath like, hey, baby, if you're watching, Like, I'm joking. I'm joking. Essentially, they're probably both like this is tapes. It's like they're probably both not watching this, but
no.
But I thought that was pretty funny because Booker seemed like I saw a lot of people this year with different wrestling websites and podcasts and things talking about the best and worst of 2024, and I saw a lot of people say Booker T and Vic Joseph were their worst commentary team of 2024. I would disagree with that. I don't maybe I can't think of a team worse, but like there's a few people that come to mind that I don't like on different shows. But Booker T and Vic have basically beaten me into submission that Vic Joseph is not afraid to push back at Booker T at all. And I love that for him. And he's getting the raw rub. Like I could see Vic Joseph being a long timer here in WWE.
I think it depends what you look in your commentators, right? Some people just want them to be kind of inoffensive, almost non-existent. You don't notice they're there. These two are very much characters in their own right on the show every week. And I can totally get why people wouldn't be able to stand these guys. I used to not like Booker T at all. And I think it's just getting used to the banter and accepting it for what it is. But it's not really my cup of tea as far as commentary goes. But I do get a chuckle out of them every week.
Yeah, it's definitely become when Vic likes to not just take it from Booker or like challenge Booker on things he says and like poke the bear a little bit. I definitely get a kick out of that. Just like Booker gets a kick out of seeing Lola Vice make her entrance here. It's Lola Vice taking on Cora Jade here. Kelani Jordan. Cora Jade is the one who interacts into this match. Kelani versus Lola Vice here. Lola is like kicking Kelani's ass for a bit here. I love the part where she gets Kelani in the corner and then yells, "I'm Latina," and then runs at her with the butt attack. Didn't what's her name? Taynara Conti? Didn't she always yell that?
She like right before she hit you. Latinas do it better.
I'm Latina, and then. Yeah. Imagine you're in a fight, Davie.
I'm English.
I'm English, and hit someone. It's like, oh, I'm Canadian. That used to be a slogan, but yeah, I just got a chuckle out of that. This is where eventually Lola Vice, I think, gets pinned by Kelani because there was a distraction here. Cora Jade comes out with her kendo shots, and then after the match, she's like hitting everybody, and Stephanie comes in to kind of save them, but there's all this sort of locomotion, all this malfunction in the junction, if you will. So this is what leads to these ladies even getting more upset at themselves here. But I didn't think too much of this match, but where it will lead for next week, it makes sense.
Yeah. It's setting up everything for this 4-way next week, but also, as you said, just seeing a little character change from Kelani a little bit.
Yeah. We go to, I guess we can start here with the NXT Year-End Awards. That's right. They go through the Year-End Awards on this episode. So I thought it would be fun for us to also go through the Year-End Awards here. I'm going to list off the Year-End Awards. First of all, they're going to this one right here, the Match of the Year. Davie, do you remember what the NXT Year of 2023 Match of the Year was?
Ooh, was it, I'm guessing Ilya Dragunov versus someone?
Carmelo Hayes.
No
Mercy.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we voted for that one as well. But this year, the nominees are, this is bigger than the Oscars here, guys. Ilya Dragunov versus Trick Williams for the title at Vengeance Day. Frazier and Axiom versus Chase U at Heatwave. Roxanne versus Thea at Great American Bash. The Iron Survivor women's match at NXT Deadline. And Kelani versus Sol Ruka at Heatwave. And Oba versus Briggs versus Dijak in a triple threat at Stand and Deliver. Those are your nominees. And the winner is the triple threat from Stand and Deliver, featuring Oba Femi, Josh Briggs, and a guy we fired this year. So we won't talk about him as they cut to Josh Briggs in his home. Very happy about this. And I guess he's throwing out some love here because he says, was very happy that you all feasted your eyes on this match, and says that he's looking forward to fighting Oba, and then also being in the tag division in 2025. But yes, Josh Briggs, Oba Femi, and Dijak for Stand and Deliver, which I think was the show stealer on that.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the one I'd have voted for. It's
Really?
a really, really fun match, and just a bit different from everything else that NXT put on this year. It's in our shortlist for our best match of the year. So if you liked it, you might want to give it a vote. I'd have also said Chase U versus Fraxium, and not in the list, but I think the men's 4-way from Heatwave as well. I'd have thrown up there.
I actually would vote for that one, I think, as the NXT match of the year. Between Frazier and Axiom versus Chase U at Heatwave, or Fraxium versus No Quarter Catch Crew at Deadline. Like, those are the two tag matches this year that really stood out for me. But if you're talking NXT match of the year, I actually would pick the Heatwave main event, I think. So not that I disliked, I think that was my match of that show, the triple threat, with just the big meat triple threat match. The only thing that was missing was Knuckles getting involved over the barricade, but he watched it from ringside with Julia.
That spot, that like Tower of Doom spot though, from
right,
Obafemi was crazy.
Like, I remember struggling for that show because it was noon, but like I felt like that match got a lot of people, even the people who weren't there for NXT, who were just like, yeah, it's WrestleMania weekend. We're like, yo, who are these guys beating each other up? And then they released one of them. Yeah, but yeah, good pick. I think it could be worse. Let us know. Do you agree? Was that your NXT match of the year? We go to a video for Julia. She's getting ready for her match next week against Roxanne Perez. She's talking about how she watched NXT for years. She says that one day she wants to be in the list like Charlotte, like Asuka, etc., Hall of Famers, and says that it all starts next week when she takes the title from Roxanne for the new era of NXT. So what do we think, Davey? Are we getting Julia defeating Roxanne? Is it finally happening?
I think so. Even though I do think there are some singles matches I'd like to see from Roxanne. I think it's time for the Julia to take that title, and who knows, maybe even debut Roxanne at the Rumble, because I don't see what more there is to do, and I think the women's division is fine in NXT without her, and she's completely ready to move up.
You know, that's a great point, because we have a lot of other stars now. Julia, Vaquer, Kelani, Soul, Fallon. Like, this roster is stacked, whereas Roxanne can make a pretty big splash on the main roster pretty quickly if booked right. Like, I wouldn't say just book her to win everything right away, which they have done in the past, but like, I think the more eyes on her, people will be like, oh, who is this person? Like, she's a really good wrestler.
Now you've got these secondary women's titles. She could be one to quite quickly take the IC or US title off of either of them, I think. Yeah. Have a good run with that.
I'm just really hoping, look, this is on CW, right? New Year's Evil. And the last time we saw these two fight, I felt shortchanged. I felt we didn't get the match we wanted, right? Hopefully this time we don't cut to break as soon as the match starts and then we come back. Oh, it's over. Sorry, you guys missed the whole thing. Oh, okay. So that's how I felt last time. So I hope we get the actual match this time between these two. And I think it'll bang for sure. We go to the next NXT year-end award, NXT Moment of the Year. Can you think of some moments that made this list, Davey? I'll name you some. As soon as I read last year's Moment of the Year, really? Remember this?
Oh,
the Undertaker shows up. Why did he show up? We don't know why. He just did. Just like him at WrestleMania. We're not really sure why he showed up, but he did. That was a moment last year. However, the nominees are for this year. Tyrese Halliburton cuts down Orlando crowd. I don't know about that. Jada Parker smashing a brick on Lola Vice at the ECW arena. Carmelo Hayes turning on Trick. Trick wins his first title at Spring Break. Ethan Page wins his title at Heatwave. Wes turning on Zach. Julia's debut. NXT launch on the CW. And Chase U calendar saves Chase U from going bankrupt. I mean, you know who we're picking out of that. The calendar. You still have the calendar somewhere there, Dave?
It's somewhere here, yeah.
We need a new one. We need a new.
We do.
But yeah, also, and the winner, Joe Hendry shows up in NXT.
I mean, I guess you would say that. I think it was the most buzzworthy, like newsworthy thing we saw with all the TNA integration. I think personally the Wesley turn on the Rascals would have probably got my vote, but or Mello turning on Trick. But yeah, I get the Joe Hendry vote as well.
Yeah, like I understand, but there was a few other ones, but like the buzz this guy had this year, I guess. It cuts to a video from Joe Hendry, which I saw made some rounds this week from this. He says, say his name and he appears anywhere, anytime, any show, as it cuts to the Raw on Netflix, January 6th. What do you think, Davie? Joe Hendry on Raw or Joe Hendry in the Royal Rumble?
I think in the Royal Rumble. I think that saying any show, I think that was kind of what he was pointing at. I think Raw on Netflix week 1 sounds pretty stacked already. I don't know what a Joe Hendry would add to that, but I think Royal Rumble, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like coming out, let people sing the song, let people talk. I feel like the buzz of this guy maybe is dying down a little bit from like the social media and everything, but maybe it's because, as always, as soon as WWE thinks something is cool, it kind of doesn't become cool as much. Also, TNA not booking this guy to be their champ and putting him in like the pre-shows and stuff maybe didn't help, but I'm wondering what's going on with him. Like, does he leave TNA? Does he sign with WWE? All the best for him. Hopefully we do get a cool Rumble spot, but here he is winning Moment of the Year in NXT. We go backstage. Cedric Alexander is being interviewed. He's talking about his friend Javon Evans and says that Paige took away this from me. He took this guy away from me. So you know what? I want to have a match with this guy. I want to get my revenge on Ethan Page, and I will. And then Ethan Page shows up, and this looks like it's going to happen right now. And this match eventually goes to this match right now. Cedric Alexander versus Ethan Page.
Yeah, this was where Cedric said he got a text from Javon saying,
I'll be there.
Yeah.
So this happens right now, and this is Ethan Page just beating down on Cedric here, being an absolute bully. I think this matches his style a whole lot more too. He does this huge like sick kick kind of move to the face and then hits him with a throwback to everyone's favorite time in AEW, the Matt Hardy family office. This was a shout out to that because Ethan Page wins the match with a twist of fate. Wow.
True. I forgot about that.
Yeah, never forget about the Hardy family office. The reason I never forget is because you got me a Hardy family office t-shirt from some event.
I did, yeah.
Somewhere. Going to the highest bidder. DM me. So yeah, Ethan Page wins this and then beats up Cedric after the match, goes under the ring and finds CM Punk's toolbox and then smashes it on Cedric's fingers as the refs and doctors separate them, and he's screaming, my hands. So Ethan Page is going around hurting people. Best version of Ethan Page we've seen yet in WWE NXT, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a shame that there are restrictions. I would like them to push it a little bit on NXT with sort of the violence. I'm not.
You wanted him to stab him? Cut his fingers off?
I'm not necessarily saying that, but I think, when Page has really excelled, it's been in those matches against Darby, right, where he can completely ragdoll someone. Yeah. And I think in a match against Javon, that is exactly the style you need to be doing. They teased it for the match with Trick, but it never really hit that level. I think that's when Page shines, is when he's just being a real bully and just launching people onto steps and downstairs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hopefully this leads to some sort of big blow-off match with Javon and Page and weapons and all sorts of stuff. You're right. That Trick one was a really big letdown, considering we know what Ethan is capable of. Maybe Trick just didn't want to do thumbtacks or body bags. He's like, no, I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
We get a video here. Tyriek and Tyson are backstage with Hank and Tank, and Hank and Tank seem pretty okay with the fact these guys cost them the match. So
they never care, do they, really?
They're just like, hey, we're kind of upset at you. I'm like, wait a second. If someone beat me up to cost me the match, I don't think I'd just be having a conversation with them. This is when Sean Spears interrupts with his gang of people. Shout out Brooks, never forget. And then Wesley comes in and basically are like, it's not about friends. Don't listen to this guy. He's an idiot. And then they mentioned that they challenged them to a match. So Hank and Tank with a partner versus Tyson and Tyriek and a partner meaning Wesley. So these two got to go find someone.
Mhm.
Not quite sure who, but yeah. So Wes didn't want to be in a group with people of his friends, and now is the leader of this group.
I think he didn't want to be an equal. Like the Rascals were all seen on a level, whereas now he is clearly the leader of these guys, and these guys can work as heavies for him. I quite like it. I think it's good for Tyson and Tyriek as well.
Sure. We go to our next match, the Chemical X, meaning Shotzi Blackheart, Gigi Dolin, and Tatum Paxley, the resident goth girls here. It was still 2024, so therefore I changed my vote for NXT Moment of the Year to this entrance of Chemical X featuring Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum. I think this should be in the shortlist for Moment of the Year. So these three are taking on the team of, the two teams. It is Shotzi and Gigi versus Katana and Kayden versus the Meta Girls. Now, of course, the Moment of the Year I was referring to, Davie, was not their entrance, but Shotzi locking in a clover leaf.
Oh, yeah.
Match. A very nice clover leaf. Matches her hair color, I guess. This match was crazy. All the teams are running at each other back and forth. Eventually, Gigi holds the ropes for Shotzi. I don't know if this was meant to happen, but we've watched Shotzi for a long time, Davie. What comes to mind when you think of Shotzi Blackheart?
Trying to kill herself all the time.
The tope to the chairs, right?
Chairs.
That's always what happens. Here, it was Shotzi just absolutely eating shit here. They did not replay this.
She really needs to, she's just come back from such a bad injury, and
crazy.
She needs it. It always looks like she's gonna die when she hits this move. It's got to go, unfortunately.
We watched her do it on the episode we just talked about, but you just came back from an injury, and now you're doing this move again, and then it looked like she hurt herself again. So I hopefully she's not, but
the ref was right on top of her.
Yeah, because then they're supposed to get hit with the move that's coming next, and she was on the ground here it was not great. It was scary. Eventually, though, the Meta Girls isolate. They're sent to the outside, and then it's Gigi who's hit with the wheelbarrow RKO facebuster, and the Meta Girls get the win here. So they're staking their claim for the tag titles. And this is when the witches show up on the screen and say, we beat you once, we'll beat you again. We're next in line for the tag titles. So it looks like we might get a tag team match, kind of number one contendership between the witches and the Meta Girls.
Yeah, we've already had their sort of soft launch on the main roster, the Meta Girls. And I guess they're still kind of in that picture. Once the Jade, Naomi, Bianca story kind of reaches its peak and they lose the tag titles, I think that's when you can actually see some of these teams go up. But at the moment, I don't see any of these teams beating Bianca and Naomi.
No, I didn't think this was I don't want to say a bad match. There was some bad stuff in it, especially that botch, but I'm not really sure what's the deal with the tag titles or even why we should care. But I guess we see the Meta Girls win and then go for the titles again, maybe win them. I'm not really sure what the end game or whatever is supposed to be. We go to backstage, more arguing because Lola Vice, Stephanie Vaquer, and Kelani, they're all arguing about what happened earlier. And it shows Cora Jade in the background. They didn't notice the girl they're all upset about is standing a few feet from them here, and she's laughing. And Ava shows up, the assistant to the GM. She says, "Oh, you like?"
No. She's the GM.
She is the GM.
She's the GM.
Oh, okay, right. Well, she shows up and says, "Oh, you like to cause drama? I see. Well, next week there's going to be a number one contender match for the North American Championship, and it will be Cora Jade, Lola Vice, Kelani, and Stephanie. Meaning you versus all three of these people that you pissed off today." And Cora's like, "Oh shit, okay, great." So yeah, added to New Year's Evil is this 4-way match, which could be pretty good.
Sorry, that's number one for the North American.
For Fallon's
okay.
title. So yeah, if it's for Fallon's title, I don't necessarily see Cora Jade winning that, right? So
no, I'd see Stephanie maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
that could work. We go to, this is where Ava Regal and Charlie Dempsey and Lexis King, they're discussing the what happened with the Heritage Cup match, and then they take the cup back, and say that next week it will be King versus Dempsey, 1-on-1, sudden death, a normal wrestling match. I like how sudden death is just a normal wrestling match. So yeah, that is happening next week. But we go to our next year-end awards here for NXT. I think this one was just a layup for these guys. NXT Tag Team of the Year. Yeah, do you remember what last year's was? The Tag Team of the Year.
Tag Team of the Year in 2023. Fuck, no.
All right.
Wolf
Creed
Dogs,
Brothers.
Creeds, okay. Right.
Creed Brothers, remember them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing good stuff in NXT. Well, that wasn't the case this year because they weren't in NXT, but the nominees are Hank and Tank, Chase U, The Metaphor, and the winners, Axiom and Nathan Frazier. I mean, just look at those nominees.
Yeah.
No disrespect, no shade whatsoever, but look at those nominees and tell me Tag Team Wrestling took a dive in 2024. But Axiom and Frazier, hands down.
Yeah, no question. Easily Tag Team of the Year.
In all divisions. Like they were some of the best tag team wrestling this year, full stop. Here we see Axiom and Frazier take the award. They say next year is going to be even better and that they have no plans on slowing down when OTM show up, the number one contenders, and say, we are going to take those from you. They have not announced that this match is on New Year's Evil, but maybe the week after that in the near future, but they are the number one contenders. We will be getting to this pick, but I think everyone in the wrestling world can agree that these two were the tag team of the year, not just in NXT, but yeah.
Absolutely.
We cut to the crowd here, and WWE has the WWE ID people, at least some of them, a bunch of these signees that they have ID'd. I couldn't make out all of them, but I did notice the one guy holding a coffee, Cappuccino Jones. I like that. You know how you can remember him? He's the guy with the coffee, and his name is fucking Cappuccino. So, guys, take note. Just having a cup of coffee there makes me realize who you are. Vic Joseph shouts out Reality of Wrestling, who have, like, in conjunction with the WWE program. Of course it is. It's Booker T.
Yeah.
So Booker's like, oh, I love all these guys because they do all the bookings I sign them for really cheap. Probably. But, yeah, I didn't see a few. I didn't see Cartwheel. I didn't see a few, but I'm sure.
I can't say I really recognize them, but didn't see much.
We go to our next match, Sol Ruka taking on Izzy Dame, and we see Sean Spears on the perch watching this, and Sol Ruka is beating down on Izzy Dame. She's out wrestling her here. This is where Booker T is saying some nonsense, and Vic Joseph says, Booker, you're on one tonight, which I should clip. This is where Izzy hits, I've seen on social media, Izzy Dame and Braun Breaker seem to be an item. Now, I mean, that pretty much confirms it when they post photos together, but Izzy hitting Braun's cutter here definitely confirms it. It's the back suplex into the like RKO. Braun does. Yeah, she hit this move here. It looked pretty good.
Look good.
Yeah. It wasn't enough to end the match here, but then it's Sol who goes for like a moonsault to the outside, but instead they say Izzy pulls her. It was kind of a weird spot, but Zarya gets shoved instead, who came out to support Sol and eats the moonsault. And then back in the ring, Sol is hit with the lowdown, the big spine buster from Izzy for the 1, 2, 3. So causing some tension between Sol Ruka and Zarya, which we imagine eventually blows up, causing Zarya to have this, I don't know, heel turn or something, maybe a bit more interesting than what she's doing.
So it's now both have like hit each other by accident, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
some tension there. Not bad. I thought we saw a bit more from Izzy Dame in this match than we're used to seeing, and I did like that like flipping cutter she did. She said I think Braun Breaker used to do it, right? So yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, it was okay. We see Hank and Tank. They're asking people to be their partner for tonight, and they find someone. The camera pans, and it's bum ass Chase. It's Andre Chase, not wearing the red sweater, but wearing a just white button-up shirt that's all like pulled out. The collar's not up. It's like all disheveled. He's just been walking around like this ever since. is what we're supposed to gather from this storyline.
Just taking his sweater off and that's it.
Yeah, he's not changed anything except the fact that he's just not wearing the sweater. Pretty funny. So they ask him if he'll be their partner, and he's kind of like, yeah, sure. So they're like, oh, shit. Oh, okay. So yes, Andre Chase returns to action tonight. We go to another year-end award. This time we're looking at the NXT Female Superstar of the Year. Now, Davie, do you remember who the 2023 Star of the Year was? This one's pretty easy.
I assume it's Roxanne again, right?
Oh,
no,
it was not. Remember, she was what? She was not out of action for most of the year. I forget.
Roxanne? No, not really.
Well, it was Tiffany Stratton.
Oh, okay, right.
Tiffy time, baby. Well, this year the nominees are Kelani Jordan, Jada Parker, Lola Vice, but the winner unanimously, Roxanne Perez. We get a great little video of her talking here. She says that she was on top of NXT this year, and she won the title back. She's had ups and downs, and it shows Meiko Satomura causing her to lose like last year, but then lose the title, right? They never really mentioned that, but here was they showed the clip of it. So maybe, I can still hope and pray that we go to that match one more time. Yeah, I know she may or may not be retired now, but still. Roxanne also mentions that she was able this year to drop a pipe bomb on CM Punk. She's beaten every challenger that was laid in front of her. And Julia, next week, it won't be any different. I will beat you again and retain my title. So fighting words from Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, as you said earlier, I just hope they get time next week.
Yeah.
I don't want to see this match starting at like 10 to 10. I'd like a decent amount of time for the both.
Yeah, that's the thing with the CW. It's like, once a match starts at like not even quarter two past that, it's like, I don't know how long this is going to go. So hopefully we get some time. We go to our next match. It is Wes Lee teaming with his new friends, Tyson and Tyriek, to take on Hank and Tank with their new friend, Andre Chase, without the red sweater. He's a shell of a man that we once knew, but at least we get to see him here. So this match becomes chaos. There's guys flying all over the place. Eventually, though, we get a huge spot from Andre Chase, who hits like a swanton off the top onto everyone. Hank and Tank are in. Tank is on fire. I think Tank has improved a whole lot in ring, as well as like his charisma and everything, but they're screaming, they're hitting people with moves. Chase comes in and then tags in Hank and then gets sad again. It's like he just remembered, oh yeah, my university, he did his setup for the Chase U stomps and then looks to where the Chase U section would be and goes to go, give me a C. And then realizes he can't give us a C anymore because there is no Chase U. So he sadly leaves the match. He could have just kicked the guy, but like, no. Yeah, it's very...
He was incapable of stomping this guy anymore because Chase...
He's doing the sad walk.
Yeah.
Like Arrested Development, just head down. Like,
bum.
So he walks off and then allowing, I think it's Hank, who's hit by Tyriek with this power slam into a stunner type move for the win. Don't know about that finisher, but at least it's something new, I guess. So Tyson, Tyriek, and Wesley win this match.
Yeah, I actually quite like what I've seen from Tyson and Tyriek. I think they've got some good looking power moves. There was a really nice like pop-up power slam I think Tyson hit. The Andre Chase walking out is a little daft, but we get it. He needs to find his mojo back. He needs to find his next venture. But yeah, I was quite impressed by Tyson and Tyriek here.
So we go to backstage. Ashante is on the phone and he's leaving what only I could assume is a voicemail for Carmen, who's not getting back to him. When Nikita comes in and talks a bunch of shit and then they walk off. So she's like, oh, you coming to this New Year's party? And he's like, no, I can't. I'm waiting for Carmen.
He says he'd rather be with Carmen. He'd rather be on his own if he can't be with Carmen. And then she's like, I thought you were a player. And he's like, well, maybe I'm not.
Man, I feel like I was always trying to be benefit of the doubt and everything, but Nikita Lyons is go away heat for me.
Yeah,
like
she's
now.
awful.
Like awful. I can't stand this what is this black scent she puts on? Like heavily trying to like talk this way. She's ridiculous. Like I cannot stand her wrestling. I cannot stand her just being on screen for 10 seconds. I was like, I'm done. I do not want to see you anymore. I'm sorry. I gave her the chance.
She's my least favorite thing in NXT.
I know you hated her.
Find her like so turn off the channel.
It is like, oh man, it is not good. I finally hit that thing, and all she did was say like 2 lines here, and I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done with you. I can't stand her, but yeah, we'll probably see a lot more of her later on.
Well, hopefully Carmen's watching. I know it was on New Year's Eve, but hopefully Carmen watched and she can see that Ashante's intentions are pure.
Yeah, hopefully she watched the show back.
Yeah.
We go backstage. Okay, something I did get a kick out of. We see this guy. He gets a nameplate, so at least I know who this fucker is. But Kale Dixon. Hey, what's your favorite Kale Dixon match or moment from NXT?
Was it Dixon or Nixon?
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah,
Kale. When are we naming kids Kale?
You are what you eat.
Kale Dixon, yeah. Crazy.
Kale Dixon. He says this was fantastic. Hey, Mr. Chase, when's next semester? And he turns to him. My young boy, don't you know Chase U is dead? And he walks off. Oh, and this guy's just heartbroken. This is like Bodie Hayward 2.0 here.
He's got a bit of a what's his name? The guy with the feathers and the boys.
Peacock.
Dalton Castle.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of a Dalton Castle look about him, but maybe his gimmick should just be that he is like not caught up with the last 6 months of NXT TV. Kind of like Tony
doesn't watch the show
right now. He's like just behind on everything.
Yeah.
Like, hey, when's Trey and Zach coming back? I love you guys teaming.
That's kind of what Jericho's gimmick is right now. Just doesn't know anything that's going on. Just stupid. Kind of be like that.
I think Chase needs to find a new, like, can he start Chase College, Chase Polytechnic,
Chase? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, I think he's got to start a new business venture.
Yeah, we need to bring it back. There's going to be a way to bring this back. Whether it's involving Ridge, I'm not sure. We didn't really get much off Ridge. Tony D'Angelo, I think I may have blown past that. He's angry that Ridge attacked him. I mean, Santa Claus attacked him. So I imagine we're going towards Ridge versus Tony. But if there's a way somehow to bring Chase U back from this storyline, we should. I just don't know what that entails. But shout out Kale Dixon here, getting a laugh out of me. We go to the ring for our main event segment here. We're going to find out who the male superstar of the year is. Before I go into this segment, I guess I can go through the nominees. But do you remember who the 2023 male competitor of the year is?
I'm going to guess either Ilya or Trick.
It was Ilya last year. Yeah. Who was here for like half the year, I guess. Sort of. Or was he here pretty much? I can't remember.
He was here for this year.
Yeah, he was there. So we go to our nominees for this year: Ethan Page, Tony D'Angelo, Trick Williams, or Oba Femi. Now, am I wrong? They didn't really clarify who won this, except like Oba wins it, but then it's used as a weapon as he comes out and he says all this is a prop for a popularity contest. He mentions that he is the ruler of NXT and he had the match with Trick, and then it was changed to a triple threat, but it doesn't matter. I will win anyways. Because, and I quote, I'm the captain now, which I thought was pretty good.
He's always quoting movies, isn't he?
Good movie. I only recently watched that. I've seen the meme.
It's a great film.
Captain Phillips is what he's referring. I've seen the meme of I'm the captain now for like years. And then we played it at work this year. And I was like, hey, Tom Hanks doesn't miss. So out comes Trick Williams to be like, hey, if you're so beatable, then how come it's not title v title? Why aren't you putting your North American title on the line? Oh, that's right. You lost it. So you are beatable. Oba gets pretty upset by this. This is when Eddie Thorpe appears and everyone went, oh yeah, this guy's in the match too. He goes to attack Oba and he nails Trick and everyone's fighting everyone. And it sets up for our match next week, the triple threat match as NXT goes off the air for 2024. I
liked Trick here. I liked him bringing up you are beatable because you were a champion and you're not anymore. And you could see that getting under Oba's skin. Yeah, we've kind of given our comments on the triple threat as it is. I don't think Eddie has a hope in hell in winning this thing. But who do you think? Do you think Oba takes it here, or do you think Trick squeaks out this win and we prolong this?
Yeah, I am just so disinterested in this match. Like, I don't think it would be right to have Oba win this way. Like, even if you pin Eddie, I think the story goes as Trick pins Eddie. Yeah. And then Oba's like, hey, you didn't beat me. You beat Eddie. Therefore, I need my rematch, right? So I kind of want that to happen. And that's probably what's going to happen.
But you could also have Trick chasing Oba as well for the title, couldn't you?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, I feel like the story adding Eddie just definitely drops the interest. I think you had something already with the one-on-one, which we will get to. Like we said, Vengeance Day is definitely the route they're going for that. But this one does. This whole card of New Year's Evil doesn't necessarily scream must watch to me, to be honest.
Shall we go through it?
Yeah. So New Year's Evil 2025, next Tuesday on the CW or Netflix. Trick Williams versus Oba Femi versus Eddie Thorpe. I think we're both. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say Trick. I think Trick. Yeah.
I think Trick pins Eddie.
You can do the thing where they both, put Oba through the table to get rid of him, and then it leaves those two. Yeah.
Cora Jade versus Kelani versus Lola versus Stephanie. One on four-way number one contendership.
I said Stephanie earlier, but I can see her more in the women's championship picture. You could. If Roxanne retains, you could have Cora and Roxanne as like the two champion kind of thing. But then it would be heel versus heel. So I don't know. Maybe Lola Vice?
Yeah, I think Stephanie, but I don't think maybe she would win the title from Fallon, but I think that would be a pretty sweet match.
Yeah.
So, I'm also okay with that. We have Lexis King versus Charlie Dempsey in what they're calling sudden rules, or what most people would call a normal match for a Heritage Cup championship next week.
Yes, although I guess sudden death rules would mean does the title change on a DQ? Maybe. I'm going to go with Lexis. I think we see the full character change of Lexis here, and he wins this thing.
And then he calls himself Pillman Jr.
Sure.
I think you're right. Like, it makes the most sense. Part of me wants Regal to do more stuff with Dempsey and everything. So I don't know, get him away from the cup maybe is the move. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with you. Let's go Lexis King winning a match. I can't believe we're both voting for that. We also have Gigi, Shotzi, and Tatum versus Fatal Influence in this 6-woman tag match.
I see the Chemical X winning this.
Chemical X. Is that a band or something? We go, and then the last match here, Roxanne Perez versus Julia for the NXT Women's title. Both said we're very interested in this match. Hopefully it gets time. Do you see it? Is this finally the time for Roxanne to drop it?
I think so. You could maybe do one more match at the PLE, but I think it is time for Julia.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. Roxanne has had this incredible run. There's so many more matches we could go to, but at the same time, it could be good for like a bit of a reset with Julia being the 1-2. She won the Iron Survivor in an awesome match, so I think that is the right route. So I'm going to go with Julia taking the title from Roxanne on that. One title change on this show, I think, happening. That's 5 matches. Do you think we add anything else? That's pretty stacked already.
That's a lot for 2 hours. You'll have some segments and things as well.
Like watching last week's episode on Netflix today, I noticed like the runtime is only an hour 20 without commercials. So that's not a lot of in-ring time to have. So 5 matches definitely is probably what we will. And then we'll probably get that tag match added for the week after or whatever. But yeah, not the most stacked show to start the year, I don't think. But we'll get some big moments, hopefully. But yeah, there you go. That was NXT from the last 2 weeks. And that is our preview and predictions for New Year's Evil. If you agree, disagree, let us know in the chat or on our socials at Poison Rana Pod. It's going to happen at New Year's Evil. Do we get new people joining NXT this year with like different releases and talent and WWE ID? Maybe it's a time we get some people coming in. We're talking about the main title kind of being stale and not really.
Yeah, as we've said, like you need some men, some top men in that in NXT right now. Like if and when Ricky Starks is ever released, he could obviously be someone you put at the top of the card of an NXT, but he also might bypass that and go straight to main roster. So who knows? But we need to see some people break through, whether it's bring people in or some of these PC recruits who like really break out. Obviously, Javon is someone you can have at that top of the mix who's been flirting with that. But apart from him, I can't really see who else there is on the men's side.
Yeah, like we need some other like top contenders in there. We mentioned Wesley. The heel turn definitely doesn't make it seem like that would be the way for him to get to the top. I think eventually him being babyface going for the NXT title, I don't know, around Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania time is probably when he'll go back to being a good guy again, where everyone can get behind him possibly. You know, he had the match with Oba at Heatwave, and I think that's a year-end award I skipped over. They did a moment of the year, but they did best NXT PLE of the year.
Ooh. Yeah, I think I'd go Heatwave for that.
Yeah, the nominees are just every show they did this year. Deadline, Halloween Havoc. Yeah, they just listed every show they did. But the winner that they gave on this show was best PLE of the year, Stand and Deliver from WrestleMania weekend. I think they picked it because it has what they claim the biggest NXT crowd for an NXT show, which I think was like 17,000 or something crazy like that, which was awesome. But I would not say it was the best PLE. Maybe I'm judging my hangover at 12 noon WrestleMania weekend, but I'd say Heatwave.
I mean, you weren't a happy boy that day at all. But the show was good. But I do think Heatwave and Deadline were better.
Yeah, I definitely would put Heatwave over that. Like between the Kelani Soul match, Lola versus Roxanne, the tag match, and the main event, like I feel like that whole show was top to bottom. And I remember we didn't sit together, but I was with some friends who are casual fans, and at the end they were like, "That was better than Money in the Bank." So like, it felt like old NXT times when, oh wow, the NXT pay-per-view was the work rate show compared to the WWE main roster kind of thing. But yeah, Stand and Deliver was their number one, which I don't know about that. So there you go. We're caught up with NXT. We did it in a condensed form.
Yeah. Anything else that stood out for you this week? We've kind of skipped over a couple of Poison Ranas. We had we've got Wrestle Kingdom coming on this Saturday. Do you want to maybe give some predictions for that?
Oh man, I would have to look at this card. Let me see here because there's a lot of.
Let's start at the top and work our way down, maybe. So we've got Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Shota Umino for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay, so that's night one, right? That's actually Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, Shota, he's good, but I don't know. Like NXT, New Japan has not been my favorite thing to watch. I've completely fallen off the map of following their stuff this year. I'd say the year before that, but losing their top guys all at once definitely really, really hurts them. And they've been trying, and I bless them for trying to get over some of these new characters and whatnot, but it's just not working for me yet. I love Zack Sabre Jr., and I think it's great that he's the champion and everything because that's been a long time coming. But that was kind of like almost like a Hail Mary, I think, from them being like, okay, shit, Tanahashi, how are your legs? He's like, go Ace. And they're like, oh, fuck. Naito, how's your knees doing? And he's like, I'm good. They're good, boss. And they're like, okay, shit, who haven't we? Tomohiro, you're too old. Okay, Zach, you've been here long enough. You're our favorite gaijin. Let's go with you. And I feel like it's great for him, but there's no other like big story. And they've really tried with Shooter. And I'm gonna assume this is gonna be a good match, but whether it's Zach winning or Shooter winning, I don't feel it's the time for Shota. Like I just don't feel like it's
tough.
Anyone's ready.
They really need to pull the trigger on someone in this company. I would have picked Yoda Tsuji over Shota. I think that I feel he seems more ready. And therefore this company really needs to take a shot at someone. But selfishly, I want to see Zach retain in the Tokyo Dome. I think would be a great moment. So not Shoda's time yet. But yeah, they definitely need to try and have someone hit soon. We've got Naito taking on Hiromu Takahashi, which is they won the tag league and then we're like, nah, we want to face each other instead. So bit weird way to get to it, but I'm sure the LIJ fans are all about this match. And if this was Naito a few years ago, I'd have maybe been a bit more interested, but still seeing Hiromu second from the top is pretty cool. Like, hopefully this is actually a proper graduation to heavyweight, because I feel we've been saying this for years about Hiromu and El Despy, who really needs to graduate to the heavyweight division.
Like to a lot of, like, I don't know, like foreigners or casual viewers, like Naito was a big star for New Japan in the last few years. And I feel like if you did this match a few years ago, this would have been like a good passing of the torch for Hiromu, who's been kind of waiting in the wings. Like, he has done everything there's to do except go into the title, like the main heavyweight title picture. And I think it was like 2-3 years ago where we're like, okay, now's the time. They're picking who's the next kind of generation, and they never picked him, and they never went with him, which I don't want to say it's too late, but it might be a little too late. And this match hopefully is good. But again, if this were to have happened on a Wrestle Kingdom a year or 2-3 years ago, I would have been a whole lot more excited about it, but not this time around. I think Takahashi should win. I think he eventually should go into a bigger slot, just considering like he is a star there. You see people with Daryl's and his stuff, like he was a big star, but I think the way they've booked him have kind of made you in your head, like wrestling, the way someone's booked for a long time, like Dolph Ziggler to me is never going to be the guy. Because like you conditioned me for years to make he's a mid-carder, he's a jobber, and it's kind of tough the way New Japan has showed us some of these guys. So hopefully it's a good match. I'm not necessarily looking too forward to it. I hope Takahashi wins.
I'm gonna go with Hiromu as well. David
Crazy.
Finlay versus Yota Tsuji. I'd like to see Yota Tsuji win this. As I just said, I think he's one of the guys you should be going for.
Yeah, so New Japan doing what AEW does and just has all these different titles that I didn't know existed, like the global title. I think that was the one they gave to Ziggler, right?
Global heavyweight. It's the former US title.
Right.
That became the UK title and then the global.
Yeah, David Finlay, I'm not necessarily sold on him. I know he changed up his look a little bit, so that's always a plus. Hopefully the match is good. I can't say I'm necessarily looking too forward to that. I guess go with Tsuji if you're trying to push some of these new, what are they called? Not the four pillars, but the four horsemen or whatever, these four up and coming guys, you got to push them. So
Four Musketeers.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We've got Doki versus El Desperado for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. I feel this is just repetitive. Booking. Despy, sure, why not? I don't know.
Like Despy's in that same spot. Like you've had the Hiromu Despy stuff for years, the feud going back and forth, so many matches together, and then it's like we don't have anyone else, so you're just going to be in that match, and you're going to be. It's kind of like, yeah, we've done it already. Why does he need this title anymore?
Yeah.
Why would he want to win this title anymore? I don't know, but I'm sure it'll be a good match.
In probably the match I'm most looking forward to, Shingo Takagi taking on Konosuke Takeshita in a winner-takes-all match for the Never Openweight Championship and the AEW International Championship.
Yeah.
This sounds awesome. This sounds like a proper Wrestle Kingdom match to me.
Mm-hmm.
I would go with Takeshita. I can totally see him holding both titles.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like if AEW never swooped him up, I think Takeshita would be the IWGP champion and be main eventing this title. If he never went to AEW, I think he would have been one of the ones that they just like, oh, wait, who's this guy? Let's put you in our big position. Cause I feel like he's been one of the best, Japanese stars. I mean, obviously with having American TV helps him, showcase what he is and what he can do. But this is the proper Wrestle Kingdom match. I feel like for any of us Westerners waking up at the godly hours of the morning, if anyone is, this would be the one to wake up for. This would be the match like, okay, now I can go to bed and watch the rest later or whatever. Because this hopefully hits like the Wrestle Kingdom January 4th matches. And like, we're big fans of Shingo. I feel like he's been coasting a little bit, but it's also dance partners are a big part of that. And I feel like if Takeshita's like, no, you're going to hit me and I'm going to hit you, then this could be a real slugfest and could be definitely easily one of the matches everyone is talking about after this weekend. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this. I do suspect Takeshita wins this. And even to push my narrative, like, hey, if he weren't in AEW, I think he would have been a big star in New Japan. He should win this, become the never openweight champion, and then start to defend it and have more time, like lend Takeshita to New Japan and, have him become not even just neverweight, have him become the like world champion at some point and then lose it to someone to get them over again. I don't know. But I'm really excited for this match.
We've got Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Evil in a lumberjack match where if Tanahashi loses, he must retire from in-ring competition. Wow. This is just going to be a schmoz, isn't it? This is going to be all of Tanahashi's friends trying to stop House of Torture from fucking him over. It's going to be a whole load of bullshit, but who knows? It could be fun.
Yeah, probably won't be. Probably I don't want to watch this.
I do think the lumberjack helps this because you're getting all this bullshit anyway. So at least it's kind of like allowing it for it to happen. Evil
just has that like go away. I just refuse to watch anything he's part of, to be honest. But this could be it. This could be Tanahashi's retirement. Like 2025, we got a lot of people retiring. John Cena, Tanahashi, but they both can't retire without facing each other first. So I'm going to say Tanahashi wins.
Tanahashi, yes, absolutely. Tanahashi. Mayu Iwatani versus Azumi for the IWGP Women's Championship.
Hey, this should be pretty good, actually, if they give them some time. Women wrestling in the Tokyo Dome, that's fucking cool. So I'm happy to see it. I think Mayu is the champ, so possibly retaining here, but I haven't watched a lot of New Japan this year, but I know who these two are, and they should put on a good match. So I definitely will be checking this one out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mayu as well. I don't know. I haven't really been following it, but I'm sure it'll be good. And then four-way Tokyo Terror ladder match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. A ladder match. I didn't know this was happening.
Yeah, did they have to change this? This is where they were promoting it as TLC, and then I think they didn't realize that may be copyright.
Oh, okay.
So they were like, oh, we can't call it tables, ladders, and chairs because someone owns that.
Tokyo Terror ladder match. So it's the intergalactic jet setters of Kevin Knight and Kushida taking on Ichiban Sweet Boys, Robbie Eagles, and Kosei Fujita versus Catch 22, TJP, and Francesco Akira versus Bullet Club War Dogs in Clark Connors and Driller Maloney.
Yeah, you might not know who like some of these guys are, but the fact that this is a four-way tag ladder match in New Japan, which is a rare occurrence that they would even go this route, means we're probably going to see some crazy shit. Clark Connors, Akira, maybe Robbie Eagles, Kushi, like some of these guys are going to do some crazy spots to get over on this show. So maybe not the most looking forward to this, but at the same time, I don't think I'm going to skip this one because, again, you might see some crazy shit in this match. So the last time we had a ladder match in New Japan, it was pretty good. So we'll see.
And then we've got, I have no idea out these guys.
Yeah. I don't know who's going to win.
Anyone.
Yeah.
And then on the pre-show, we've got the Rambo, which this year is to determine the number one contender for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And
put cheeseburger in it.
Yeah, cheeseburger, sure. Yeah.
So that's night one. That's the actual Wrestle Kingdom.
That's Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah.
You know what? Like my interest level in New Japan is really low, but on paper, that's not necessarily a bad card. There's a few matches on there that do stand out. Zack and Shooter, hopefully, really deliver in that main event. But Shingo Takeshita is the one I'm like, got to tune in for. I'm definitely not waking up early to watch this by any means, but as soon as I wake up, I'll try to avoid things and maybe just go to that match before I watch anything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a long card, but I think there's stuff on there that that will deliver on the night. And then we've got AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, CMLL, Stardom, whatever
else.
It's Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th. And in the pre, we have an International Women's Cup Final 4-way match where a winner receives a Women's Championship match from the participating promotion of their choosing. And you've got Willow Nightingale representing AEW, Persephone representing CMLL, Athena representing ROH, and Momo Watanabe representing Stardom. So the winner gets to pick any promotion to go for that title.
Yeah, that's pretty cool seeing, Willow and Athena wrestling at the Tokyo Dome. I feel like that's a pretty big deal from them. They have mentioned this on AEW roughly like, hey, they wanted to be in this match because they want to wrestle at the Tokyo Dome. And as far as like iconic wrestling venues come, this is up there. So I feel like this would actually be a bit of a sleeper hit where like all four of these women are going to like probably go out there to show off. So
I don't know anything about Persephone, but this one actually has my interest in trying to see something a little different. And I don't watch ROH, so Athena's been missing for a long time.
Yeah, she's still the champ though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you see who do you see winning here?
So you get a title match from the promotion. So, I mean, you could get Willow winning and then wanting to face Athena, or I don't know. Yeah.
You could get Momo challenging Mariah, that kind of thing.
Love some Momos.
Yeah. No idea. But kind of cool. Excited for the match. Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara taking on the House of Torture, Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru for the ROH World Tag Team Championship. Who cares? Texas boys.
I don't want to sound like an asshole or negative or anything, but am I the only one who is genuinely shocked at Dustin Rhodes re-signing with AEW?
Kind of. I mean, it depends what they're offering him. He's got his training thing, hasn't he? And yeah.
Like, your brother's the WWE champion for over 2 years, been feuding with a group about family in wrestling. I'm just saying, like, right there.
I'm sure the feelers were put out there, and it depends what they're going to really use him for.
Like, I went to a Christmas party just a few days ago, and a relative of my girlfriend was talking to me, and they were like, hey, I see wrestling's popular again. Who's this blonde guy wearing the suit? I see him everywhere. Who's this guy? I'm like, yeah, it's Cody Rhodes. He's like, do you mean Dusty Rhodes kid? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that's not Goldust. I'm like, no, that's his other kid. And he's like, oh, whatever happened to him? He's not wrestling, is he? I'm like, yeah, he's still wrestling, just in this other company. And then I had to explain what AEW was, etc. But he wouldn't let go of like, yo, Goldust should come back. Like, when's that coming? I'm like, and this was someone who does not watch wrestling at all, except maybe back in the 90s, who was like, when's Goldust coming back? Which then made me go, yeah, he just re-signed with this company.
I mean, I remember All In is in Texas this year, so I could totally see Dustin Rhodes, wanting to have a moment on, maybe retirement thing. I think he's still the trios with the
Freebirds. No, not the Freebirds. The other ones.
Yeah, those guys. The Von Erichs. There we go.
The Iron Claws.
Yeah, I could see them doing something big for that, and maybe that, it's a year. I think it's a year extension, right? He's signed.
Right.
So he can still go back.
Sons of Texas.
But I'm going with the Sons of Texas.
I just learned that A, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy are a tag team, and B, they're champions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dustin's got 2 belts right now, I believe.
Crazy.
Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet.
Yeah, is this our main event?
No.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Or at least it's not listed as it here. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know what else would go over this. Ricochet, you know what? Been actually enjoying the stuff he's been doing in AEW the last few weeks. So I'm kind of looking forward to this match. I think Zack Sabre, this is a non-title match, so you could have Zack lose, but I feel like that's such a misstep if he is still your champion. Of course, if he doesn't lose the title the night before. But I'm actually looking forward to this match. I think it could be really good. Ricochet's been a little hit or miss with his wrestling in the last few months, so I hope he definitely brings it for this big opportunity. I think Zack wins, though.
I'd like to see Zack win this, maybe if he wins night 1, maybe he does put the title on the line. Who knows? But I'd like to see Zack win this. And I am excited for this. I'm still on the fence with Ricochet, very much so. But I have enjoyed the character change in the recent weeks. But I'm still yet to be kind of blown away by any of his matches. And Zack is obviously one of the best he's going to be in there with. So
But it's interesting you say that because, like, I know you're one of the biggest Ricochet haters out there. But I'd say in the last few weeks they've done a good job of like making you love to hate him, right?
Yep.
Like it's working. Especially we're recording this last night on Dynamite. The angle with him and Swerve where he got his revenge with the scissors. I was really into that. Probably my favorite part of that episode. So I think whatever they are doing with this heel turn and everything does work. Maybe he shows up in Japan at Wrestle Kingdom with the scissors in his hands, ready to cut Zack Sabre up.
And then we've got Takeshita versus either Takeshita or Shingo Takagi taking on Tomohiro Ishii for both the Never Openweight and AEW International Championship. I imagine it's Takeshita that wins night one, and Takeshita versus Ishii sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
But I do see Takeshita retaining.
Yeah, I hope Takeshita beats Shingo, and then I hope it's Takeshita Ishii one-on-one, because then you're getting back-to-back, hopefully, bangers here. But because I can't see Shingo winning the AEW title that he's got, right? So that wouldn't make sense. So I do think Takeshita wins. And then, he does have to defend the Never Openweight against, the king of Never Openweight, but it's also double title. So no, I think Takeshita goes band for band, goes 2-0 at Wrestle Dynasty.
We've got Tsuji taking on Jack Perry. Not really sure why. Tsuji, let's do it.
That's the first time I've heard of this match being advertised. Okay.
Kenny Omega taking on Gabe
There we
Kidd.
go. Let's talk about it. The King is back in New Japan. Kenny Omega, New Japan Kenny is a different animal, a different breed that people are like, oh my God, we got to see him. So I think this is a big step and test for Gabe Kidd, who's been great in promoting this match. He's a wild man when it comes to the microphone or his social media. I'm hoping that this delivers and hopefully sets the tone for Kenny's 2025, since returning at Worlds End and being promoted for a lot of AEW events going forward. I'm just under the assumption he's ready and good to go, and this will be a good exhibition match for him to get back into it. But anytime Kenny is wrestling in not only New Japan, but Kenny in the Dome is like a whole other beast, and I'm very excited about this. This is the match for night 2 that I'm looking forward to, obviously, because like I said, Gabe does a good job. You could see him being one of their main stars really, really soon.
Yeah, I'm curious by this. Curious to see what Kenny looks like. But I see a Kenny win here.
Oh, yeah.
Very much excited for this one.
Yeah.
Shota Umino versus Claudio Castagnoli. They've kind of kicked Shota out of the group, and Claudio is doing Moxley's work for him. At least I think that's what they said on commentary yesterday.
So, so if Shooter wins, then he's the champion facing Claudio.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing, think about it a few years ago, if we're like, imagine Cesaro wrestling in New Japan and Tokyo Dome. It's like, we're finally getting it, but it just, New Japan's so dragged down that it's not even that exciting or that like interesting, but I'm sure the match will slap. But
yeah, I think Shota kind of needs to win it because he's either losing the title match the night before or he's your new champion. So I think either way, he needs to win this match.
Yeah.
So I'd go with him. David Finlay versus Brody King.
I also didn't know this match was happening. I'm not the biggest David Finlay fan, but he still has some time to, convert some people, I think, with, again, changing his look, changing things up. They shoehorned him in last year, right? Was that with the triple threat, or the year before that with him and stuff? And I didn't really like that, but this could potentially be good. Brody King's pretty fun. I'm sure he's excited to wrestle in the Tokyo Dome. Will his parents show up to the Tokyo Dome looking for cheesecake nearby? Maybe. That is the question, Brody King.
Yeah, I'm going with Brody here.
Yeah.
Then we got Great O'Khan and To Be Announced versus the Young Bucks for the vacant IWGP Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, this is a whole like weird thing. The Bucks have had a up and down 2024, and I just feel like they originally promoted this as them coming back to New Japan, but no one really seemed to care because everyone was just like, yeah, but is Kenny coming back though? We don't care about you coming back. We care about Kenny. And then they're like, yeah, Kenny's coming back too. And then they're flipped now that they are trying to be heels, even though they were promoting it as baby faces. It was all backwards. And then the injury, which now it's Great O'Khan and TBA. So like, who the hell is his partner? And will it be anyone that matters?
No idea.
Right? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, I guess Great-O-Khan wins this. I just can't see the Bucks bring the tag titles back at the moment. Maybe.
Yeah, because then that means they'd have to have more matches in New
Yeah.
Japan. I don't necessarily see that. And I don't necessarily think who could be Great-O-Khan's partner, like Tanahashi, or mind you, he might retire the night before, but Tanahashi, Kenny Omega. He's already wrestling on this show, so it won't be him. But
then we're having a 8-man lucha gauntlet match with all the competitors to be announced. 4 from New Japan, 4 from CMLL. That could be pretty fun, I think. And then in what I think might be the main event, Mercedes Moné versus Mina Shirakawa in a winner-takes-all match for the Strong Women's Championship and the Undisputed British Women's Championship.
The main event, yeah, I think it'll be a fun match, but nothing that I'm like, oh, I'm running to go see this. I've loved, you know what? I think Mercedes has had a better later half of 2024. I think she really stepped up with her wrestling, and Mina is pretty entertaining as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm not looking forward to this, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, I think this would be good. I think Mina's been one of the breakouts this year. I think Mercedes has really hit a stride in the ring again. Like, she's one of the best in ring. I think this could be really good, but I do see Mercedes winning this. But that would mean, is Mercedes going to be working any Rev Pro show? So maybe this is get it off of Mercedes and onto Mina. Yeah, I've changed my mind. It's Mina winning this.
Sorry, it's for what title again?
The Strong and the British Women's.
Oh, okay, yeah. So none of this matters really. So who wins it? But still, like, I think this is a big moment for Mina. If she were to win it from her, you got to get that title off Mercedes, because every time she's on Dynamite, she's talking about this title. I'm like, this isn't even fucking part of the show. So you know what? Get that title off of her. Give it to Mina. Give her that big moment in Japan, and Mercedes can actually worry about the title that she should be worrying about. I feel like she talks more about that pink title than the TBS one, but yeah. Either way, this both shows, like, there's some big cherry picking matches there that, you know, we will be entertained, but I feel like my interest and excitement for New Japan is still at an all-time low.
Yeah, very much so. But this is sometimes a good time of year to kind of check in and see what's going
always
on.
Yeah, I always will. I will definitely be watching. I'm not sure if I'm waking up early, but I will be watching. So.
I am absolutely not waking up. If I didn't wake up early 2 years ago, I ain't waking up early this year to watch it. Well, that's that. I will be obviously talking about all of this on Sunday's show, and maybe on Sunday we can preview Raw on Netflix and give some thoughts on that, as well as doing part 1 of Best Match Ever 2024.
Yes, so we'll be live on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be chatting about some Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty. We'll chat about our top 10 to 5 matches of 2024. So get your picks in, join the Facebook group, follow all the socials for everything. We will be live 4 p.m. Eastern. We will be going through the top matches of 2024, part 1. We'll be giving that one out for free for all of you. But if you do want to support and get part 2, which will be in a week or so, you can at poisonrana.ca for all the links of everything we do, including our Patreon, including our chop-tees.com/poisonrana. All our Lucha Frog of Doom merch is still up there. That's how you can support us. Get yourself a late Christmas gift or an early 2025 New Year's gift by getting yourself a hoodie, a hat, a t-shirt. All the stuff that we sell there is how you can help support your favorite independent podcasters out there. I'm seeing Chris Jones in the chat saying, can we pour one out for Level Up? Yeah, I forgot about that. I would pour one out, but I can honestly say I've never watched an episode.
It's sometimes come on at work, like after a program.
Like, I'm turning this off.
Like, that's the only time I've seen like Main Event or Level Up is like, after Raw or NXT or whatever.
Yeah, so like it's like the NXT for NXT, but some could say AEW is the NXT for NXT. So I'm sorry, I haven't necessarily watched a lot of Level Up. But the new show is what? Let's Go or Let's Fucking Go or whatever. It's something silly, but it's not actually dying, right? Anyways, pour one out for Rampage 2 while we're at it. Appreciate everyone out there listening. We can't do this without you. Again, follow the socials for everything. And we'll be back on Sunday, and we'll be back here on Post Wrestling Tuesday night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time, right after New Year's Evil. So we'll chat with you then, fine people. We love you. We love you. We appreciate you, and we're hoping you're having a nice, happy, and safe new year. I myself, Braden Herrington, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, whatever, at the Brady.
Find me Instagram and Twitter at Davie Portman, and find me on Blue Sky at davie.poisonrana.ca.
They need to make it a little bit more easier there on that Blue Sky. That sounds so convoluted. Davie.this.ca. But you can follow us. Give us a follow. Appreciate you all. That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And Happy New Year.
Ahoy!